What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, April 5th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 14:14 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East, Europe, and here in the United States. So earlier this morning, there was a strong earthquake that impacted New Jersey, very close to New York City. I want to update you guys on that. We also have Israel on high alert, preparing for a possible Iranian strike this weekend in retaliation for the Israeli strike on the Iranian consulate, which killed the top three IRGC Quds Force commanders in Syria and Lebanon. So I want to update you guys on that. And we also had Ukraine launch massive drone attacks on Russia last night. So what you're looking at here is a flight tracker showing U.S. nuclear forces, and we currently have two Boeing E-6B Mercury TACAMO planes in the air. And these planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. They're also responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. So we have two of those in the air this afternoon. But what's interesting is we have two nuke sniffers in the air this afternoon, which is really unusual. And yesterday we had three presidential doomsday planes in the air, which is very unusual. So U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert. The Israeli Defense Forces on high alert and preparing for the possibility over the next 72 hours of a large-scale simultaneous attack from several fronts, likely including but not limited to Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Yemen. This was reported by the Israeli Channel 13. Israel's going to get attacked by all these proxies at the same time as Iran attacks Israel directly. And the Axis of Resistance, which is a grouping of Iranian proxies in the Middle East, has informed Iran that it stands ready to set Israel and the entire region ablaze if Israel decides to attack Iranian territory as a response to the Iranian response. Okay. So if Israel retaliates now, the Iranian proxies are saying that they're going to set the entire region ablaze. So this could go sideways very, very quick, and it could happen this weekend. I want to remind you guys that today is Friday, which is the Muslim holy day. They do a lot of praying today, and the imams give sermons during the middle of the day. So I don't think we're going to see a strike right now. But I think any point going forward after this evening, the chances of a strike on Israel are very high in Israel. But if anything happens, I will go live as long as necessary to cover the situation. And the Israeli military is saying that Iran is not interested in triggering an all-out war against Israel, but most likely they will attack high-profile military assets in Israel. But the Israeli army is prepared for all options. So this could go sideways, guys. I'm telling you, this could really escalate depending on what Iran does. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already said that Israel can and will defend itself against any threat. Okay. So we know that the U.S. and Israel have wanted to take out Iran's nuclear facilities for years to destroy their nuclear program, and maybe this is going to be the justification for taking out their nuclear facilities. So the U.S. already has multiple options and plans in place to deal with this. Okay. They have what are known as O plans, operational plans. They have hundreds and thousands of operational plans for every part of the world, every contingency you can imagine. Okay. So they already have plans. And yesterday I shared footage of B-2 stealth bombers that were flying over Missouri, and they were getting aerially refueled over Missouri, guys. That is extremely unusual and unnerving for a stealth bomber to get aerially refueled over the continental U.S., which means that they're on standby and ready to deploy if the situation escalates with Iran, okay? And the Hezbollah Secretary General, the leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, gave a speech today saying that everyone must prepare, arrange their affairs, and be careful when Iran responds and how Israel responds to this. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewith.nyprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And the strongest earthquake to hit the Northeast in over 250 years hit New Jersey this morning, just 45 miles from New York City. Initially, it was reported as a 5.5, and then it was downgraded to a 4.8. The earthquake started at 10:23 local time, and it was only 4 kilometers deep, which is extremely shallow. People reported feeling shaking as far north as Maine and as far south as Norfolk, Virginia. And this would be the strongest earthquake in New Jersey since the 1700s, guys. And the governor of New York has completely shut down the JFK International Airport to assess damage. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the location of this earthquake, the epicenter. You can see it was in west central New Jersey, not too far from Pennsylvania. Here in Pennsylvania, I did not feel any shaking, but I'm pretty deep in Pennsylvania. I'm far away from New Jersey. So it's possible that parts of eastern Pennsylvania felt it, but I didn't feel anything at all. And you can see here lots of people feeling this earthquake across the entire Northeast. You can see even up to upstate New York, northern Vermont, and New Hampshire, Maine, people felt light shaking, and all the way down to Virginia. Okay. So this is very serious, guys. This was right outside of New York City. There's a huge fault line that goes through northern New Jersey. It's called the Ramapo Fault. Okay. And a lot of people don't know about it, but it's a very serious fault line. Okay. There's been earthquakes there before. And being so close to New York City, we dodged a bullet with this one, okay? If another strong quake like this happened, who knows what kind of damage could have been done. There's a lot of people that live there. New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the whole country, okay? So this could have went sideways very quickly. We got lucky, okay? So just get prepared. If you live in New Jersey, New York City, be prepared for earthquakes. It sounds crazy because you think of earthquakes as something that only happens on the West Coast or the Western U.S., but you see here, there's the Ramapo Fault, and there's been dozens and dozens of quakes there over the last 300 years. And in Crimea, there were multiple kabooms reported this afternoon in the Sevastopol Bay, and the Crimean Bridge has been closed this afternoon as well. So it looks like Ukraine may be attacking Crimea right now. And last night, Ukraine launched a massive drone attack involving dozens of drones on strategic Russian air bases. The bases hardest hit were Engels and Morozovsk. Initial reports from Ukrainian intelligence state that 3 Tu-95 Bear bombers were damaged between the Engels, Yeysk, and Kursk airfields, and 6 Russian Sukhoi 34 fighter jets were totally destroyed at the Morozovsk airfield in Rostov, with 8 being damaged. So this is a serious drone attack that Ukraine launched last night. I'm hearing as many as 100 drones saturating all these important airfields in southern Russia. And the government of the separatist controlled region of Moldova called Transnistria said today that a Ukrainian drone targeted a radar facility in Transnistria. This would be the second time that Transnistria blamed Ukraine for a strike on their self-proclaimed territory. A few weeks ago, they claimed that Ukraine destroyed a military helicopter at an airfield, which was largely seen as a false flag by Western analysts to get Russia to annex Transnistria. And I'm hearing that this radar facility was totally destroyed. And radiation of an unknown origin was discovered in Tromsø, Norway recently. Radioactive iodine 131 was first detected there during the week of March 21st to 26th by the Norwegian High North Laboratory. Iodine 131 is a radioactive isotope with a short half-life of 8 days, which means that the release happened very recently and that it will decay totally within a few months. The isotope comes from nuclear reactors, so this is extremely unusual, guys. Maybe it came from a Russian sub that got too close to Norway and something happened. I don't know. And Russia issues an urgent state of emergency after a mysterious radiation leak. High radiation levels have been found near a pylon just over a mile from Khabarovsk, which is right near the Chinese border. The source of the radiation has apparently been removed and placed in a protective container before being taken to an appropriate waste storage facility. Radiation levels will be monitored for the next 2 days. And Sweden's plan to create a NATO base on the island of Gotland make new threats to the safety of navigation and economic activity in the region, the Russian Foreign Ministry told Sputnik News. As NATO is seeking to increase its military potential in the Baltic Sea, Stockholm intends to strengthen the strategically important island of Gotland in order to improve defense against the imaginary Russian threat, the ministry added. The Danish Navy is warning that a missile could launch any second. A technical fault has activated a missile system on board a Danish frigate at the Korsør naval base near Copenhagen, which they can't stop and could cause a missile to launch at any moment. The launch vehicle, the booster, is activated and currently cannot be disabled. Until the booster is disabled, there is a risk that the missile could launch and fly several kilometers away. Authorities have closed airspace around the vessel and warned other ships of a potential accidental strike. And the Danish military was forced to close a major shipping lane. The National Maritime Authority issued a warning for vessels to avoid part of the Great Belt Strait off the coast of Denmark on Thursday afternoon due to a risk of falling missile fragments. The Defense Ministry said the missile contains 150 kilograms of explosives, adding that it was not armed and would not detonate if it crashed into the sea. And Turkey has withdrawn from the Treaty of Conventional Forces in Europe, joining Poland, who just did the same thing last week after Russia withdrew from the agreement last year. And we're hearing now that Belarus will soon suspend its participation. So things are escalating in Europe, guys. We have Poland and Turkey leaving the conventional forces Europe treaty, and potentially now Belarus will do the same. We know that Belarus has stationed a massive amount of troops on the border with Lithuania. And Ukraine already this year will have drones with a range of over 2,500 kilometers, which are designed to fill the shortage of long range missiles, according to German newspaper Bild. They can be used to attack Russian targets in the Urals and the Arctic. So 2,500 kilometers, guys, that is insane. And the Argentinian president has officially announced the creation of a joint naval base with the United States in southern Argentina in the area of Ushuaia. And this is very close to Antarctica, which is going to basically extend the U.S.'s sphere of influence to Antarctica now. And the Norwegian foreign minister said that in the long term, he would not rule out the boots on the ground in Ukraine, although there are currently no such plans. He said this in an interview with European Pravda. So we're seeing more and more European countries saying that they're not going to rule out boots on the ground in Ukraine. We already had Finland say that they would send boots. We've had multiple European countries say that they would send boots to Ukraine. Obviously, France said they were going to do it. France was the first one. And now we have Norway. So it's becoming like the same situation as with the F-16s and the M1 Abrams and Leopard tanks. You know, you had one country say, I'm going to give a Leopard tank, and then other countries said, okay, yeah, maybe I'll give one too, and I'll give one too. And so I think we're going to see it, guys. I think we're going to see NATO forces go into Ukraine because the Ukrainian front lines are going to collapse this spring and summer because Russia is massing a massive amount of troops. They're going to be drafting 300,000 soldiers to go to the front, and Ukraine has not built very solid defense lines. And so NATO is concerned that this massive Russian army is going to smash the Ukrainian front lines. The Ukrainians are exhausted. They've run out of ammunition. The soldiers are burnt out because they've been at the front for very long. And even if Ukraine drafts new soldiers, if they build a new army and they replenish the front with new manpower, those soldiers are going to have less experience. They're going to be totally green than the ones that they're going to be replacing or the ones that were already killed. Okay, Ukraine's best soldiers have already been killed defending Ukraine in the initial months and the initial wave that Russia sent. Okay, so now we have burnt out troops on the front, and Ukraine is going to replace those burnt out troops with green troops that have no military experience and are totally green when it comes to war, okay, versus the troops they had in the initial year to 2 years of the war were experienced troops that they had in the Donbass region that they were using to fight against the Russian separatists, and then obviously experienced in fighting against Russia the last 2 years. So now those troops have been killed or they're burnt out and they're going to get replaced with green troops. So that's not a good situation, okay? And we know that Ukraine doesn't have enough artillery. They need millions and millions of artillery shells, and they don't have that. Okay, Russia has already built 2 million shells in the last few months, and they acquired several million more from North Korea. So Ukraine doesn't have hardly any shells, okay? So the front lines in Ukraine are going to collapse this spring and summer, and NATO is very concerned. That's why they're going to be sending their troops in to prevent a catastrophic defeat, okay? And the U.S. is in high-level contact with Russia regarding Washington's allegations about Moscow's development of space-based weapons. I don't know if you guys remember, like 2 months ago, the U.S. said that Russia was going to put nukes into space, and then the mainstream media tried to cover it up and say, well, it's not nukes in space, it's a conventional anti-satellite weapon, and they were just constantly changing the story. And I personally believe that Russia did put nukes in space, and the reason why is it gives them an advantage in nuclear war. Okay, if they put nukes in space, we're not going to be able to detect those nukes being launched because our radars function by detecting ballistic missiles that are launched from the ground and go straight up into space. Okay, our long range early warning radars can detect that missile going straight up. If the warheads are already in space, there's no way for us to detect when Russia releases those warheads and drops them down on top of us. There's no way for us to detect it except when the warheads start to re enter Earth's atmosphere. Then NORAD would detect that re entry. But at that point, we would have just a few minutes to respond, which is not enough time. Okay, the president needs at least 6 to 8 minutes to order a retaliatory strike, which means that we are now vulnerable to a surprise first strike. They could try to take out the White House. They could try to take out DC. They could try to take out our most important military bases, like our bomber bases and our sub bases, before we have a chance to get them airborne and scramble our bombers and evacuate the president from DC. Okay, that's what those nukes are there for. And the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it. They want to say, well, it's a anti-satellite weapon. Like, suddenly now Russia has anti-satellite weapons like they didn't have them 50 years ago. Okay, it's nothing new that Russia has anti-satellite weapons. That's nothing new. Okay, what is new is that they put nukes in space and they don't want you to know about it because they don't want people to panic. All right. And Beijing's assistance to Moscow's military industrial complex has reached alarming proportions, according to the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. And he warned EU and NATO ministers yesterday. So that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. And if anything happens with Israel, I will go live. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. Guys, the world is getting crazier by the day. We're on the verge of World War III. The U.S. is drowning in trillions of dollars in debt. Inflation is at an all-time high, and there's no end in sight. So you need to prepare your finances for the future with precious metals. Precious metals are a great way to protect your hard-earned savings and retirement against inflation and the uncertainty of the stock market. Also, precious metals are good to have for the purposes of preparedness, to be able to barter with people for essential supplies if the grid goes down. Every prepper should have at least a small amount of silver coins. The company I trust for my precious metals is Midas Gold Group. Text NYPrepper to 232425 for free information on precious metals. Midas Gold Group is 100% veteran owned and supports veterans through the Wounded Warrior Project. Midas Gold Group will work with you to convert part of your retirement savings into gold or to set up a gold IRA. And unlike many precious metals dealers, Midas Gold Group offers precious metals in small denominations, which is great for preparedness, so you have something tangible to use for bartering when the grid goes down. Precious metals have continuously risen in price over the past 100 years and are considered a safe investment. So text NYPrepper to 232425 for free information and to get started today.